Hello, my friends. I am Zoe. Before we start, I just want to say thank you, truly. Thank you for pressing play and for spending these few quiet minutes with me. I know your days can be busy, sometimes even heavy, yet you still choose to show up and listen. That means a lot to me. Maybe your heart feels tired or your mind keeps running in circles. I understand that feeling. We all have those days. So while you are here, let this be your calm place to rest. Take a slow breath, let your shoulders relax, and just listen. You know, I used to wait for the perfect moment, when I had more energy, more motivation, when everything felt right. But that moment never really came. One morning, I realized that waiting was just another way of standing still. So instead of waiting, I started small. Just 5 minutes of action, one tiny step. And something beautiful happened. The moment I began, inspiration slowly followed. Maybe that is what we forget sometimes, that action does not come after motivation. It is the seed that creates it. There's a certain kind of silence that appears before every real change in life. It does not announce itself with fireworks or loud excitement. It begins in a softer way in the small hours of the morning when you are awake but not yet ready to move. Or in those long evenings when you scroll through your thoughts, wondering if maybe something inside you is asking for more. Not more things, not more success, but more life. I used to believe that living my best life would begin after something big. After I finished school, after I got the job I dreamed about, after I moved to a better place. For a long time, I thought happiness was waiting for me somewhere ahead, like a reward I could only touch if I worked hard enough. But life, in its quiet wisdom, kept showing me the same lesson. The best parts of living are not waiting somewhere in the distance. They are here, quietly unfolding, even when we do not notice them. It took me years to understand that living your best life is not about chasing a picture of perfection. It is about learning to see again, to notice the small, gentle details that hold meaning. The way sunlight touches your wall, the sound of a familiar voice, the comfort of breathing without hurry. Somewhere along the way, I had forgotten that these moments are not background noise. They are the heart of it all. When people talk about living their best life, it often sounds like a competition. We hear it in advertisements, in conversations, in the silent race of social media. Everyone seems to be running towards something shiny. Yet the truth is simpler. Your best life does not demand that you become someone new. It asks that you return to yourself. I remember one afternoon, sitting in a small cafe near my home. I was tired that day, not physically, but mentally. Everything felt heavy, and I could not understand why. I looked around and saw a woman sitting alone by the window, smiling quietly as she stirred her tea. She looked peaceful, not because her life was perfect, but because she seemed fully present. That simple moment changed me more than any motivational speech ever did. I realized then that presence, not perfection, is where the best life begins. It's in the way you show up for your own days, even when they are ordinary. It's in the way you choose kindness over criticism, gratitude over complaint, and awareness over autopilot. Still, being present is not easy. Our minds are trained to look ahead, to plan, to fix, to compare. We scroll through the lives of others and quietly measure our own worth against theirs. But life is not a racetrack, it is a landscape. You walk it at your own pace, and what you notice along the way becomes your story. There was a time when I was obsessed with getting things right. Every goal felt urgent. Every delay felt like failure. I pushed myself so hard that even rest felt wrong. But one morning, something shifted. I woke up early, stepped outside, and saw fog covering the fields. The world looked soft, half asleep, and for a long time, I just stood there. It was nothing special, no victory, no achievement. But in that quiet, I felt something I had been chasing for years: peace. It made me wonder how many of us are chasing peace in places it never lived. How often do we search for meaning in faraway goals, when it is quietly waiting in our everyday steps? Maybe your best life doesn't look like anyone else's. Maybe it's not about building more, but about seeing more. Not about becoming bigger, but about becoming truer. If you ask me now what living your best life means, I would not talk about success or comfort. I would talk about alignment. When what you think, what you say, and what you do are moving in the same direction. It's when your choices, even small ones, reflect the kind of person you want to be. Think of it like tuning a guitar. Each string represents a part of you, your mind, your heart, your habits. If one string is too tight or too loose, the sound feels off. But when everything aligns, even the simplest note sounds beautiful. That harmony is what best life feels like. Sometimes we forget that life is not built in leaps, but in layers. The mornings you wake up early, even when you don't feel like it. The effort you make to speak kindly. The courage it takes to start again after a failure. These small things are not small. They are the invisible threads that weave your days together. Maybe you are listening to this because a part of you is searching. Maybe you feel stuck or tired or unsure where to go next. I understand that feeling. Many of us do, but perhaps the best place to begin is not somewhere out there. It's here, in the quiet moment you are in right now. Close your eyes for a second and take a breath. Notice the air moving in and out. Feel the weight of this exact moment. How alive it is, how real. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of peace. You only need to arrive. In time, you will see that your best life is not something you achieve. It's something you practice. It's a rhythm you learn, slow, honest, and steady. Some days it will be easy, other days you will forget. But even then, the beauty of life remains waiting, patient, gentle. And maybe, just maybe, this is where your best life begins. Not in doing more, but in finally being here. There is a quiet kind of power in the choices we make every day. Not the big, dramatic ones that change everything overnight, but the small ones that seem invisible at first. They are easy to ignore, but they quietly build the shape of our days and eventually the direction of our lives. I didn't always believe that. For a long time, I thought life changed only through big decisions. A new job, a big move, a bold step into something new. I waited for those moments, believing they would finally make everything fall into place. But while I was waiting for something big, life was quietly asking me a smaller question. What are you doing today? It took me a while to understand that small choices are not small. They're like drops of water falling on stone, soft but steady, and over time, they shape everything. Think about the way you start your morning. Maybe you reach for your phone the moment you wake up, or maybe you take one slow breath before you begin your day. It seems like nothing, a few seconds of difference, but that small choice can change your whole morning. One path fills your mind with noise. The other opens space for calm. Small choices decide what kind of thoughts we feed our minds, what kind of energy we bring to our work, what kind of tone we set for the people around us. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a man who had completely changed his life, not through luck or sudden success, but through small, steady choices. He told me that 5 years before, he was lost, angry, and constantly tired. Every morning, he would wake up late, skip breakfast, and start his day already frustrated. One day, he decided to change just one thing. He started waking up 10 minutes earlier, just 10 minutes to sit quietly with a cup of tea before touching his phone. That was all. He did not run marathons, he did not read 10 books a month, he did not suddenly become productive. He just kept those 10 minutes every day. Over time, those 10 minutes changed everything. He began to think more clearly, to treat himself with more kindness, and eventually to make better choices in other parts of his life. He said, "It's funny, I thought I needed a new life, but I only needed a new morning." That sentence stayed with me. Because it's true, most of the time. Change does not come from doing everything differently. It comes from doing one small thing differently, and doing it again and again until it becomes part of who you are. Maybe you want to build a habit, learning a language, reading more, getting healthier, being more peaceful. You don't need to start big. You only need to start small and stay gentle with yourself. Every time you make a small choice, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you wish to become. Every yes or no shapes the story you are writing. There is a quiet power in consistency. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, but it transforms everything it touches. Let's be honest, small choices don't feel exciting. They don't give quick results. Drinking more water won't change your life in one day. Writing for 5 minutes won't make you an author tomorrow. But if you keep showing up for those small things, you'll wake up one day and realize you are no longer the same person who started. I remember when I first began to write every morning. At first, it felt pointless. My words were messy, my ideas uncertain. But I promised myself I would write something, even one sentence every day. After months, my mind became clearer. My writing became more honest. I realized that the small act of showing up was more important than what I wrote. The practice itself was the transformation. That's what life is, a long practice of showing up. And here's something I've learned. Small choices teach you patience. They remind you that good things take time, that growth is often invisible. When you plant a seed, nothing happens for a while. You water it every day, and the soil looks the same. Up beneath the surface, roots are growing quietly. One morning, green appears and you realize it was working all along. Your life works that way too. So if you ever feel stuck, like your progress is too slow, or your efforts too small, remember this: no effort is wasted. Every small step forward counts, even when you cannot see it yet. Maybe today, your small choice is to speak gently to yourself. Maybe it's to take a 5-minute walk outside, or to send a kind message to someone you miss. These things don't look like big changes, but they are shaping your heart. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned is that transformation is not always visible from the outside. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to keep going, to try again, to forgive again, to believe again. When you practice small choices, you are not just changing your habits. You are changing your relationship with yourself. You are learning to trust your own effort, to build self-respect, to believe that your actions matter. And that belief, that quiet confidence, becomes the foundation of every big change that follows. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to pause for a second and think, what is one small choice you can make today that your future self will thank you for? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be true. Because sometimes the smallest step in the right direction becomes the biggest turning point of your life. And maybe when you look back years from now, you'll realize that your best life didn't begin with a grand decision, but with a simple, quiet choice you made on an ordinary day just like today. Have you ever looked at someone else's life and thought, they have it all figured out? Maybe you see a friend getting a promotion, someone traveling around the world, or a person on social media smiling under perfect sunlight. And suddenly, without meaning to, you start comparing your pace, your progress, your story. We all do it. It's part of being human. But comparison, if we let it stay too long, becomes a quiet thief. It steals our joy, our confidence, and our gratitude. There's a saying I love: comparison is the death of contentment. It sounds simple, but it's true. Because the moment we compare, we stop seeing our own path clearly. When I was younger, I used to compare myself all the time. I looked at people who seemed more successful, more confident, more loved. I thought, if only I could be like them, maybe I'd finally be enough. But the more I compared, the smaller I felt. The more I tried to match someone else's timeline, the more I lost touch with my own rhythm. Here's the truth I eventually learned. Everyone has their own season of growth. Just like flowers don't bloom all at once, people don't either. You might be in your season of planting quiet, uncertain, still beneath the soil. Someone else might be in their season of blooming, visible, full of color, receiving light. But both are necessary. Both are beautiful. The problem is, we often compare our beginnings to someone else's middle, our behind the scenes to their highlight reel. Think about it. On social media, we see the bright moments, the smiles, the travels, the success stories. But we don't see the nights they doubted themselves, the mornings they didn't want to get up, the times they failed and started again. We compare our real life to their edited version. It's like comparing your messy kitchen to someone else's magazine photo. It will never be fair. One day, a friend told me something that changed the way I see comparison forever. She said, "You can't rush a tree to grow faster by staring at it." At first, I laughed. It sounded funny. But later, I realized it was deeply true. When you focus too much on how fast someone else is growing, you stop watering your own roots. You stop giving attention to your own soil. Every person has a different journey. Some people find success early, others later. Some find love easily, others after heartbreak. Some find peace in quiet places, others through chaos. But there is no right timeline, only your timeline. And once you begin to respect your own rhythm, comparison loses its power. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman who dreamed of becoming a painter. Every day, she followed other artists online, watching their exhibitions and beautiful studios. She felt inspired, but also discouraged. She didn't have the same tools, the same audience, the same talent. One morning, she decided to stop scrolling and start painting with what she had, in her small corner, with cheap brushes and leftover colors. Her paintings weren't perfect, but they were honest. Slowly, people began to notice. A small gallery invited her to share her work. Years later, she realized something powerful. Her best art came when she stopped trying to be like anyone else. You see, the moment she stopped comparing, she started creating. And that's what happens when you let go of comparison. You make room for your own life to grow. When you compare, your mind lives in someone else's story. But when you return to yourself, you begin to write your own. I know it's not easy. Sometimes, seeing others succeed when you're still struggling can hurt. It can make you question your worth or your path. But remember, their success does not take away from yours. Someone else's light doesn't dim your own. It reminds you that light exists for everyone. You don't have to compete to be seen. You don't have to prove your pace. Life is not a race, it's a rhythm. So if today you feel behind, take a breath. You're not behind. You're just becoming in your own time, in your own way. And maybe, one day, someone will look at you and think, they have it all figured out. But you'll know the truth. You didn't rush, you didn't copy, you didn't compare. You just grew slowly, honestly, beautifully. There's a quiet kind of courage that doesn't always look like bravery. It's not loud. It's not about standing on a stage or holding a sword. Sometimes it's the courage to wake up and face another day when your heart feels heavy. Sometimes it's the courage to speak softly when the world tells you to shout. And sometimes it's simply the courage to be yourself in a world that keeps trying to turn you into someone else. When we think of courage, we often imagine heroes, people who do something big, something visible. But real courage often begins in the small, invisible moments. When you choose honesty over approval. When you say no, even though you're scared. When you stand alone because it's the right thing to do. I remember reading about Malala Yousafzai for the first time. She was a young girl who wanted something simple, the right to go to school. She didn't plan to be famous or powerful. She just wanted to learn. But in her country, girls were not allowed to study. Instead of staying silent, she spoke up. She believed that education was a basic right for everyone, no matter their gender. She knew the risks. She knew people might hate her for it. But she spoke anyway. And one day, something terrible happened. She was attacked for her courage. But what amazed the world wasn't just her survival, it was what she said afterward. She said, "They thought the bullets would silence me, but they failed." That line stays with me even now. Because courage doesn't always protect us from pain, but it helps us stand again after pain. Not all of us will face battles like Malala did, but each of us faces a quieter version of the same struggle. The choice to live honestly, even when it's hard. You might not fight for global rights, but maybe you're fighting for your own voice, the courage to speak your truth, to live by your values, to say, "This is who I am," and that is no less brave. For a long time, I thought being brave meant being fearless. But the older I get, the more I realize courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. Think about the moments when you were afraid to start something new. A new job, a new city, a new dream. You probably waited for the fear to go away before you began. But courage doesn't wait for fear to leave. Courage walks with fear, side by side. Every time you take a step, even when you're scared, you build strength. And over time, that strength becomes quiet confidence, the kind that says, "I can handle this, even if I'm afraid." Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a young man named Daniel. He was shy, soft-spoken, and afraid of being judged. He wanted to be a musician, but he never shared his songs with anyone. He thought his voice wasn't good enough. One night, a friend invited him to a small open mic event. He almost said no, but something inside him whispered, "Just try." So he did. His hands were shaking when he went on stage. His voice cracked during the first few notes, but he kept going. When he finished, the room was silent for a moment, and then people began to clap. Some even cried. That night didn't make him famous, but it changed him. Because for the first time, he realized that courage wasn't about being perfect. It was about being real. After that night, he kept performing. He started writing more songs, not to impress people, but to express himself. He told me once, "Every time I sing, I still feel nervous. But now, I know that fear means I care." That's the thing about courage. It doesn't erase your fear. It teaches you how to move with it. And the more you live this way, the more you realize that the bravest people are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall and rise again and again. Courage is not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like sending that message you've been avoiding. Sometimes it's applying for a job you think you're not ready for. Sometimes it's walking away from something that doesn't feel right even if it's safe. And sometimes it's simply allowing yourself to rest, to admit, "I'm tired, but I'm trying." We often hide our fears because we think they make us weak. But fear is not weakness. It's proof that you care deeply. You fear losing something because it matters to you. You fear failing because you want to grow. So instead of running from fear, what if you listened to it? What if you treated it like a companion, not an enemy? Because every time you listen, you learn something about yourself. What matters to you? What you value? What you truly want? Malala once said, "I tell my story not because it is unique, but because it is not." And that's true for all of us. You might think your struggle is small, but it's not. Your quiet courage, the way you keep showing up, the way you keep trying matters more than you think. Being real in a world that rewards pretending is one of the bravest things you can do. So if you ever doubt yourself, remember this. You don't have to be fearless, flawless, or strong all the time. You just have to be honest. You just have to keep showing up. That is courage. There comes a time when you realize that living your best life is not about how fast you move, but how deeply you live. It is not about reaching every goal, but about understanding what truly matters along the way. Many people believe that slowing down means losing progress, but the truth is the opposite. When you slow down, you begin to notice the world again, the sound of the wind through the trees, the smell of your morning coffee, the feeling of your own heartbeat, reminding you that you are here. These small things, so easy to miss, are what make life beautiful. Living slowly does not mean you stop growing. It means you grow with awareness. It means you make choices based on peace, not pressure. You begin to listen more and react less. You start to value quality over quantity. Quality time, quality connections, quality thoughts. When you live this way, you start to see how the smallest actions carry the greatest meaning. Let me tell you a story. A few months ago, I met a woman named Hannah. She worked in a big company and was always busy. She said her days were full of meetings, deadlines, and constant pressure. She thought success meant always being available, always doing more. But one morning, after missing her train for the third time that week, she decided to stop running. She walked slowly to a nearby park, sat on a bench, and watched the sunrise for the first time in years. She said that in that quiet moment, she felt something she had not felt in a long time: peace. It was not dramatic, not exciting, but it was real. That morning became her turning point. From that day, she started changing small things. She put her phone away during meals. She took short walks without music. She started talking to her coworkers with genuine attention, not just polite answers. Slowly, her life began to feel lighter. She did not quit her job or move to another city. She simply changed her way of being, and that changed everything. That is what living your best life truly means. It is not a race to the top. It is a return to yourself. It is the gentle decision to stop running from your own life and start living it moment by moment. Because when you stop chasing and start noticing, you begin to realize how much beauty already surrounds you. Sometimes, we think happiness is something we must find far away in a different place, a different person, or a different version of ourselves. But most of the time, happiness is already waiting for us in the simplest places. It is hidden in the rhythm of your breath, in the warmth of a kind word, in the quiet moments that ask nothing from you except your presence. And yes, life will still bring challenges. There will still be days when you feel lost or tired. But when gratitude becomes part of your daily rhythm, you begin to see that even pain can hold purpose. You start to trust that every experience, the good and the bad, is helping you grow into someone stronger and more compassionate. You learn that peace is not about control, but about connection. It is not about removing all noise, but about finding stillness within it. When you face difficulties with a calm heart, you begin to see that storms do not always destroy. Sometimes they clear the way. So as we come to the end of this reflection, I want you to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs and slowly leave your body. Think about everything that has brought you here: the lessons, the mistakes, the laughter, the moments of silence. Each one of them is a part of your story. Your best life is not a picture of perfection. It is a story of growth. It is built through small acts of kindness, through courage when you are afraid, and through the quiet strength of simply showing up. It is the way you forgive yourself for not knowing everything. It is the way you choose to keep trying, even when the world feels heavy. You do not have to wait for the perfect day to begin living. You do not have to be someone else to feel worthy. The person you are today, right now, is enough. The life you have, imperfect, unfinished, beautiful, is already your best life when you choose to live it with gratitude. So slow down, look around, listen, smile at the small things that make today special. Because one day when you look back, you will realize that these small, quiet moments were not small at all. They were the heart of everything. Your best life does not begin when everything goes right. It begins when you decide to live fully, with kindness in your words, courage in your steps, and gratitude in your heart. Take one last deep breath. Feel this moment. This is your life, and it is already enough.